Welcome to the Bronx African American History Project. My name is Steven Payne, librarian and archivist at the Bronx County Historical Society, and I'm here on the phone with Mr. Charles Turner, a distinguished television, voice, and Broadway actor, who I'm happy to say spent a good portion of his life in the Bronx. And we begin these oral history interviews by asking, why don't you tell us a little bit about your family and how they ended up in the Bronx?
The Turners, my family, we took over an apartment from the. Have you heard of the Dupre? Dupre. With an accent. I think they were. Oh, I'm not sure, but from the French Caribbean area. I'm not sure, but he was our doctor. We lived in Harlem.
Oh, okay, okay.
I was. We moved into the Coops. Um, somebody you need to talk to after me is my sister. She's a Deborah. She's a Deborah Turner Smith. She was out in Queens, and she's got a great memory, and she represents. She's 2 years older than I am, and she went with a few people that were her colleagues were different than mine.
Sure,
But
sure.
she's got great experience too. So maybe
That's,
I'll ask her if it's okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, she's great. She's great.
That's
So
Deborah Turner Smith, you said?
so I was born in Harlem, and we moved up to South Bronx, and we had a doctor, Ernest Duper. The Duper family, they were in the Coops. I don't know much about their history, except that when he was ready to give up his apartment, my dad and they were good friends, and and he was my doctor. And next thing you know, we were moving into this from let's see, we were living on 10th Avenue in the South Bronx,
Sure.
and to move into the Coops, which they call the International Workers Colony, was amazing. The park, Bronx Park East was there. Baseball field,
Absolutely.
a park, green. Well, we always lived near green or greenery, or yeah, we always lived near a park. That was my parents. My dad was from Kentucky and my mom from Virginia.
Sure.
They were rebels. When I admire them so much. They were Jews. My dad was a strict Catholic and my mom was a strict Protestant. But they fell in love up in New York. My dad had gone to college out in Wilberforce in Ohio, and but it was the time of the Depression or so, and they met up in Binghamton, New York, and eloped, and then came back into Scranton, I think it was, and then moved down into Harlem, where I basically grew up, but went to early school. But when we moved up to the Bronx, I was going into junior high school,
Sure.
which was something called Olinville Junior High up in, oh, I'd take a train to get there every day. It was a couple of stops from where we lived on Allerton Avenue.
Yeah.
But it was just a dream. It was a utopia, except that we lived on the fifth floor. There were no elevators. But I mean, it didn't matter to me being a kid. But the parents, they had no elevators in the entire building. But I don't know if you've seen pictures. You must have seen pictures of the Coops.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And I've been by there before, too. I haven't since all the virus stuff started, but I used to live in that neighborhood, actually.
You did?
Yeah, yeah. Close by, like, Pelham Gardens, I guess, technically was the neighborhood, but, I was around on the 2 train all the time anyway, so.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because the 5 half the time wouldn't be working, so I'd have to take the 2 and then walk.
Well, it was a great place. It was supposed to be kind of a utopia. African Americans, we had Italians, we had Jewish folk, and it was great growing up in such a multicultural area. One of my best friends, were the Canali.
Yes, I remember you mentioned them.
Yeah, Tony Canali was a really good friend, and we hung out, and but it was just and his family, Mama Canali, who used to stayed with an African man called, his name was Grover. That
Oh,
name.
yeah, I guess it was last Saturday. I interviewed Brenda Beatty Newman,
Brenda Newman.
and she mentioned Grover.
Brenda Beatty Newman.
That's right, Brenda Beatty Newman. That's right.
Yes, she just had a birthday, I think, because I saw it on Facebook.
She did on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh wow. So her daughter actually took care of one of my firstborn.
Oh wow.
Yeah, who's a doctor right now, Shairi, big doctor down in Florida. My two grandkids, and her husband is an engineer. And anyway,
Yeah.
we we really, I mean, to be in a park area, right across the street, right around the, and it was just a, it was, it was, it were Russian Jewish people there, and I loved. I mean, I've always my favorite writers are just Nevsky, even Moses, Nikovich, and that. But the Coops aspect of the Coops was just amazing.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. You probably know about those clubs.
Oh yeah.
We had folk singers. We had uh, a Russian Russia. It was, I mean, Russia was big. It was very much a left-wing neighborhood. You know that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Through and through.
Left-wing to us meant really being left. They had a American Youth for Democracy. It was quite a time. And quite a, I mean, the wonderful uh, Paul Robeson, who was an activist, opera singer, actor. You heard of
All American football player, semi pro
American.
baseball, and everything. He was a giant and everything.
There's a documentary called "The Tallest Tree in the Forest." Have you ever heard of that?
I haven't. I'll have
Well,
to.
that's something to look up. Look it up. Look it up. Tallest Tree in the Forest, which is a really good documentary. I actually remember shaking his big hand.
Wow.
I actually, when I was in college, it was the year that Paul Robeson got his passport back. As you know, they took the passport away from him because they said he was he refused to testify. I mean, he testified in his, before the House Un-American Affairs Committee.
Sure.
But he had every right. He didn't have to tell them what he was politically. He did. He said he's an American, and he sympathized with his travels to Russia. He's been treated so well over there.
Yeah.
So, but he came back to the States. I mean, he wanted America, as Langston Hughes, let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be.
Yeah. 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 And
He up in Peekskill, there was a riot. He spoke.
absolutely.
Yeah, my brother Hamilton was involved. He drove a bus back.
Oh, your brother, you said?
My, my brother, he was the oldest in the family, and we were all, Deb, myself, and Hamilton, were 2 years apart, and then we had a sister that 14 after me. I was the baby until my mom and dad had a baby on in life, But,
And that's Deborah, right?
Deborah, yeah, they see one man. This four passed away 4 years ago. In fact, today is the celebration of her life. We light a candle.
Sure. Sure.
She became I had after Catholic for so long, Jehovah's Witness after a while, and he took my daughter to the Jehovah's Witness faith, and she married a Jehovah's Witness. In a way, my daughter was a rebel in a way because Jehovah's Witnesses gave themselves kind of a cultish, and my sister always came to plays.
Sure.
And she went to jazz concerts and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, to me, growing up in Coast was one of the best things happened to us. We have the had all the neighborhoods, mean, anytime you have park close by, we played basketball. I was, I mean, I had friends from all places. I went uh, uh, some of my best friends. I mean, Mo is still one of my best friends. I mean, we stay in touch, even though he lost his wife and he's living out on, I think, Long Island now.
Yeah.
It's in New York City. But we stayed in touch, and in fact, after I went with the belle of the neighborhood after for 6 years after I was separated and then divorced, and my career. I've always, but my theater kind of picked up back in. I graduated from Yale Drama School in 1970, and I pretty much was with. I was married then.
Sure.
And had a child, and and then after I went out to the West Coast and television. But I've had a career in maintaining my career. I mean, I've just last show was in December.
Yeah.
Second Stage Theater. Carol Rothman thanking all the members of I mean, well, so many. You make so many colleagues in the theater, and
Sure.
they're lost a couple of them just recently, and friends.
Yeah.
But anyway, trying to stay healthy through this COVID thing. And back to the Coops.
Yeah. What?
I went to Olinville Junior High School.
Sure.
And then to Columbus High School.
Okay, you went to Columbus because Tom went to Evander Childs. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
He was a big swimmer there. Tommy was always a big ladies' man, and he was also on the swimming team. He's a great swimmer. He even teaches today in Philadelphia.
Oh wow!
He teaches at a 4 or 5 days a week. He goes to this center where he's pretty much admired, and he's still teaching.
Wow!
That's great. It's great. Well, yeah. And let me see what else. But anyway, Tommy was one of my best friends, and there was somebody, Al Grayson. You ever heard of Al Grayson?
I have. I haven't heard much about Al Grayson, but I've heard the name before, and I've heard the family mentioned.
Yeah, the family. He lived with his father in the Coops, and I don't know what happened to him, but we were with the Canales and Al. Well, the Canale family was special to me. One of the families, Angie Dickinson's family. Also, you know about them. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, they were sort of. I mean, it was families. They the Russian families, the African American families. I mean, I always looked at them as idyllic place. It was nice to see interfaith marriages, interracial marriages.
Sure.
Of course, and there was also this the club rooms. There were Falcons. They had a club room. It was that was they had a club. The African Americans. We had meetings too. We had meetings, the two buildings and everything. Meetings for the general populace.
Sure.
We had meetings, and I remember. I mean, before Tommy and I became really close, he spoke up in a meeting and said, African Americans, we should have a club room as well.
He told me that. The Carmen Jones Club, is that right?
Carmen Jones, I'll never forget it. He spoke up at that meeting. And we got a club room. He didn't hang out. He was instrumental in getting, his vocally, he was very, very outspoken.
Yeah.
And actually, Tommy was spoke up, but the leaders of the people who really populated the room, Reggie, what's his last name? Reggie Williams, I think it was. But he painted all the walls. And there was a bunch of African American artists.
Ah, yeah.
Who always talked about going to Paris. That was the thing, man. I'm going to Paris, and actually Jackie Branford. You heard of Jackie Branford?
I have, yeah, yeah. I haven't heard much about Jackie Bramford, but I've heard the name too.
I think
Oh, yeah.
The Branford Model Agency. Brandon, know about. He, he was. Let me see. She was. She went to Paris, and she was trying to. Oh, later. I can't tell you how many times I heard her. As an adult, I went. In fact, with my Douglas, a one-man show. I'm working on a one-man show now because after this period, Painters Club down, there'll be a lot of one-person shows and things like that. This
Sure.
virtual kind of thing going on.
Absolutely.
So, but anyway, to get back to where am I?
Let's see. So on some of the artists, did you know the Jurgens family very well? Because I know Jimmy Jurgens was a mural painter. I think, is that right? The father.
There was Hartwell, the painter, and there was Jimmy Jurgens.
Yeah,
His brother, Jimmy Jurgens.
that's right.
They had a son, Carl. You know about Carl?
Well, I'd heard he was good friends with James Earl Jones growing up. Brenda mentioned that, and that's about all I know about him.
Carl? Well, the lady that I was going with, Anita, Anita Schwartz was her name, but Anita but that wasn't her maiden name. She was wonderful. She was like a leader of a whole bunch of girls. She was the leader. They had those cliques.
Sure.
And I ended up seeing her for about 6 years. She just passed away. She passed away in 2000. They had a place up. Husband, and he passed away, unfortunately. But she shared all of her upstate the home and everything. And with that was she passed away in 2012. She started seeing me. We started seeing each other in 2006. That was Anita Schwartz.
Anita Schwartz. Wow.
Yeah, an amazing teacher, and political. He was an activist.
I think did she write a thesis on the Coops?
She might have.
I know I just don't remember the last name. I know there's an Anita who did back. It would have been back in the 70s, I guess. But
Yeah, I think she did. But her name was she was married back she was married back then. She married when he was about 17, 18. The first, he was. I mean, she married very young.
Sure.
And yeah, but just a wonderful. There were so many wonderful people. I mean, Mo his mother and my mother were good friends. And she was I mean, she was like a Russian peasant. I mean, she dressed like somebody from out of the old Fiddler on the Roof. Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, yeah.
But I must mention to you, Jones family. That's
yes.
Jason and Janet were twins.
That's right.
Very much apart in personality. One of my very best friends, and she passed away a few years ago.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, but she was amazing. She got her. I actually helped her with her master's, and first she was a model. She was a really good ebony, what they call ebony model, ebony magazine.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then she, after that, she met a psychologist, Wilbert Sight, and they had a house in New Rochelle, and I ran into them, and we a friendship. She actually became my daughter's, one of my son's mother. They had a house up on Beachfront, 09 Beachfront Drive, and the ginger. So it was right on. They had sons who are still alive. Derek. Now, let me see. Now, did Derek know anything about No, Derek didn't really know about the Coops
Sure.
unless he had things that she shared with him. But she really looked after her husband, and she worked on her PhD and had it in drama therapy and in oncology also.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was quite something. And they went down to Aruba a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
But Joyce was very special. If you boys, she could have told you some tales.
I know. Yeah. I wish.
Derek,
Yeah.
Derek. The only thing I can tell you is Derek Sykes lives in New Rochelle. If you could track him down, he might have some stories about his mom.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll look him up.
Yeah, Derek Sykes.
And how do you spell Sykes?
Sykes.
Okay, great. That's what I thought.
And her father is Wilbert. He's a psychologist. I don't know if I think he's probably not living in that big house they had. It was huge, right on the lake, Beachmont Drive.
Wow.
But anyway, Joyce is very. Now Janet, I don't know if Janet's still alive.
Brenda thought she might be. I need to look her up.
In fact, I just thought of her by mentioning, because Joyce was my friend. Janet was more quiet, aloof, and she was a pianist.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But the families got together. It was nice. I mean, do much entertaining, but I was all up in the Taylors, Tyke Taylor.
Yeah.
There was an opera singer up there.
Oh, it would have been Bill Taylor's wife.
Yes.
I'm blanking on her first name, but Melissa Taylor's mom. Melissa Taylor was a lot younger than everyone.
Yes, right. She was. She babysat for us. But anyways, her mom was an opera singer, and they had a Bronx. I don't know what the Coops looks like. Mo was to go back there. He said, "You should drive through sometime." And I said, "Well, maybe we'll see." I don't do much moving around. I'm living out long. I really live in Hell's Kitchen. You ever heard of Manhattan Plaza?
Oh yeah. That building has a rich history of its own, huh?
Yeah. Do you know the Miracle on 42nd Street?
I haven't watched it, but I've it's a documentary, right?
Yeah, they got my name in there.
Oh wow.
They interviewed me, but I didn't get on camera, but they did thank me at the end. Thank you. I'm a young producer. She's wonderful, and I have a copy of it somewhere. But there's also something on the Coop. Has there ever been a documentary? This Michael or something, she didn't really do a documentary, but she did some interviewing of the Coops people too.
Yeah, and hopefully she'll be donating all of the research she did to the Bronx County Historical Society, because we've been in touch with each other. She's just kind of organizing everything right now, but yeah, the whole point of this is to record these interviews, and then I'll be producing transcripts of them, and then they'll be available, freely for researchers. So.
I didn't get a copy of Michael's thing, but or if it'll be available online or something or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be available online, but I'll also send you a hard copy. I sent Tom a transcript of the interview with him. Oh, it must have been a couple weeks ago where I sent it to him.
Good.
So.
Yes, well, did he tell you that he was a Korean veteran?
He did. He didn't say much about that, and I didn't want to ask him about that much either.
He doesn't I don't know if he cares. He doesn't talk much. I remember he's had some scars from that any kind of a war.
Absolutely.
But anyway, his mother was big. His mother.
Oh yeah.
Queen Mother Moore. Now there are documentaries out on her.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's quite a bit on her, but one interesting thing I've observed in all the things written about her, or just other things about her as well, is almost nothing mentions that she lived in the Bronx for decades.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, we she was the type person. Uh, Africa. I mean, she knew Mandela. I mean, she was. I think they kind of anointed her. She knew a lot of the. Well, anyway, I ran to her on the street, and she said she was going to Africa, and I said, "Oh, really? You needed any help? You needed assistance?"
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I ended up going to Africa with her to an organization of my wife Beth Turner, who has a magazine. Beth lived in the Coops.
Oh, okay. What's her
Lived together.
what was her last name?
My name. We were married
Oh, sure, sure. Before she married you.
before she married me was Beth Brown.
Beth Brown. Okay, okay.
Yeah, she's a she and but let's see, we lived in the Coops for a stretch, but she didn't grow up there.
Sure.
But she did spend some time there. But let me see now. Where was I? Forgot where I was.
Oh, you and Beth traveling to Uganda with Queen Mother Moore, right?
Yeah, Queen Mother Moore took. Tommy never went, but I think she took her niece and nephew, or niece, Audley.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. That's Tommy's daughter, right?
Tommy's daughter. Yeah, he has 3 daughters, right? Judy in Chicago, and he's got Audley and Christine. Yeah.
And Christine. Okay, I see.
He had one boy, but I don't want to talk. He doesn't like to talk about it.
Sure.
He has 2 now, but I mean, from his second marriage.
Oh, okay, okay.
First one ended tragically.
Oh,
Yeah, and I know he didn't talk about that.
he didn't. Yeah.
That was Junior. Yeah, but anyway, Tommy was in the war, and I was going to say it was Tommy for me to watch Saving Private Ryan. He doesn't like to watch war pictures alone. So whatever there.
Sure.
Anyway, his mother was pretty much a rep. She spoke on on all kinds of crates, things up in Harlem. She told everybody she worked 4/7, for the cause. She was very much in favor of reparations.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Very much in favor of that, and that'll be a theme in any of her speeches that you hear. And
Sure.
a tale about I think when the who was it, the Back to Africa Garvey. She was a Garvey.
Yeah, that's right. In New Orleans, she first heard him speaking, and it clicked.
It clicked. And she had 2 sisters. One was an educator.
Eloise?
Eloise, that school named after her in Harlem.
Yeah, yeah.
And Rita.
That's right.
Rita, and they had a place up in the Catskills.
In Parksville, I think.
Parksville was like the new Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Or the new, and she, I mean, it was built. She had the property.
Yeah, yeah.
We built a library up there. It was going to be. Farah Khan came up there. She was.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was. He came up to speak. I guess they were pretty close.
It was Mount Addis Ababa. That's right. That's what she called it, right?
Addis Ababa. You got it. Ethiopia. Yes. It was great. We used to take my kids up there, and we went up there a lot when we were growing up.
Sure.
And, I think Tommy sold the place.
Yeah, he said they no longer had it.
There was some development. It's probably worth something now. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. He said. So I guess. So the plan. I guess this would have been in the '60s. Was to start a college there named after Eloise.
Yes, right. Exactly. They were built. I mean, they built, and there was somebody. His name was Jesse Gray, who was an activist and who wanted to. He's someone who wanted. His program was to take African Americans and give them land.
Yeah, yeah.
Down south, in other words, so it would be a new territory, a country within itself, independent.
Sure.
that was his way for reparation. Give us land. And there are many African American leaders who have espoused, that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. But
Um,
anyway, Joyce Janice Laidman, Laidman. She was, you know, um, I could call her if I still have her number around. But anyway, you can call her if you track her down. But that was Joyce's sister.
okay, that was Joyce's sister. Okay.
Yeah, and she might have something to say. And Brenda knew her also. I can't think of too many folks that are still around. But Reggie, I don't think he's around. Reggie, he was the painter who painted, and he always wanted to go to Paris. Let me see who else was around. I don't. Most of the, well, there was Taiki, but I think he passed.
He did, yeah. Tommy said he tried to call Taiki maybe a couple years back, and he got his wife, and his wife said he'd passed. But he has four daughters, I guess, who are still. I think they're still maybe in the Bronx, maybe. But yeah,
And an interesting story was, Taiki, who was African American and a Marine, he came back from the Marines and I guess the Vietnam War, not the Vietnam, but the Korean.
sure.
And he fell in love with a beautiful a Jewish girl, Blumenthal. I think it was Sandra Blumenthal, and I think they had twins and they had kids. I didn't know much about. I had moved out by that time.
Yeah.
I was on my way somewhere. But anyway, and then when he married Sandra, was Sandra Blumenthal. The family disowned her.
I heard Brenda told me that.
Oh, gee, that Brenda would have that story. Good. Yeah. So, boy, it'll be good to hear these stories because, you lose touch with people growing up, and the only ones Joyce I stayed in touch with, and we were friends because I helped the PhD.
Sure.
I said, but Drew and Derek Sykes, those are the boys. Drew was older, but he lives in Minnesota. They all have children now. But Trick is the one that you should try to get in touch with.
Okay, yeah, I will. I will.
Sure, he's got a story. Great kid he was. He still is. But he's been done. A lot still alive. I don't know. That big house they must have sold. They had a huge house.
Yeah.
Let me see now who. But I know besides Mo. Well, he lives shit with him.
I have, yeah.
But he's hard to get in touch with. And Phyllis Lipton, and Sheldon Lipton, formerly Lipschitz.
Okay, but they changed it to Lipton, huh?
Lipton, yes, they did. Yes, Lipton. Have you gotten in touch with them?
I haven't yet, no.
Stanley Silverman, have you heard of him?
No, I don't think I've heard that name yet.
Mo might know how to get in touch with him. He's a musician.
Oh, okay.
Stanley Silverman. He played Shelley Reiser. You ever seen him?
No, I haven't. No, it's great to hear all of these new names here.
Shelley Reiser. I don't know what happened to Arnie Mechanic, the Mechanic family. And I don't know if he went out to the West Coast or not. One fellow went to the West Coast and owned a jazz place.
Oh, wow.
There. The jazz. A very important jazz. I forget the names. Cohen. It might have been Cohen. I'll bet next time I talk to him, I'll ask him.
Yeah. We keep playing phone tag. Mo and I do. But yeah, I'll be interviewing him as well. I'm concentrating primarily on recording interviews with, African American Koopniks, but I'm also getting some white Koopniks, as well. But yeah, because what I found with with some of the other material that's treated the Coops is, although it might be mentioned that there were African American families that lived in the building, often very little is focused on their experiences or anything like that. So, so yeah, I'm hoping to change that quite a bit here. So,
I got another name for you.
sure.
Bryson.
Oh, Peter Bryson.
Peter's the son of Paul Bryson. Paul Bryson was a singer, and he went with Porgy and Bess, one of the first companies to go to Europe.
Oh, wow.
Paul Bryson, and but his son is Peter. Right, Peter. I don't know where he is.
He's in Colorado. I haven't interviewed him yet, but he's on my list.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
I will.
Talk to him. Please give him my best.
Oh, sure. I will. Yeah.
We also had the Percy family, but I think they're gone.
Yeah.
Frank Percy was in the Korean War, but he's passed away. Tommy used to be attached with him.
Yeah.
And Bunny Percy.
Bunny Percy. Okay.
Al Percy.
Oh, that was his nickname, Bunny. Oh, okay. Tommy didn't mention that.
Yeah.
He said he tried to contact Al and he'd passed away too. So.
Oh, Carl Lee, the Canagator family, which was Canada Lee. You ever heard of Canada Lee?
I have, yeah.
Canada Lee, the actor, very prominent. He married a cotton club dancer, and Carl Lee became an actor off Broadway. He was in a number of plays, but Carl, my brother Hamilton, we mentioned him too. Hamilton and Reggie, they were really a trio.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
They were close. They were very much involved with the Carmen Jones. They were but it was down there. It was going to be jazz. It actually became too smoky for me.
Was that in the that must have been in the late 40s when Tommy spoke at that meeting? Is that right, or do I have my timeline off?
No.
In the 50s, maybe after he got back from the.
After he got back from the war, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I was trying to line it up because I know there was the play Carmen Jones came out. I don't know, 46 or 47, but the movie didn't come out until the 50s, and he said it was after the movie.
Because that's Carmen Jones.
Yeah.
Let me say this. I mean, one of the inspirational things. I mean, I love to. Well, I learned to be a scholar at Christopher Columbus High School because I never considered myself. I think I might have been more, but in class I was one of the few African Americans in my class, and I was actually at Oldenburg Junior High School. They made me president of the class.
Oh, wow.
And it was really nice, and I had great friends up there. But I felt a little isolated because they had gatherings, and I don't believe I was really ever invited to anything up there. But I was president, and I participated in drama there and on stage, in the auditoriums. And
sure.
My best friend up there was Ralph Capasso, who was, and we sang "Don't Fence Me In." I remember. And I just heard that the other day. My current lady.
Yeah.
We heard that on. I don't know who was singing it, but it was a country western thing. Might have been Willie Nelson. But I grew up with one of the things growing up. The music, the music. Like I said, the opera, which I learned to love.
Sure.
Was a subscriber up until this time, but the theater and the theater arts, and Tommy used to go up to Camp Wochica.
That's right. He mentioned that. Yeah.
That up there in Liberty, New York, or whatever. I only went to one. I became a counselor in a wonderful camp, Robinson Crusoe. But that's my college days when I went to Wayne State University.
Oh, okay, I see. Where was that
I went.
camp located?
That camp was located in Sturbridge, Massachusetts.
Ah, okay, I see.
Those things really, for a kid growing up in Harlem and kind of trying to find his way. I mean, who would have thought that I went from Harlem to 12 Broadway shows?
I know, it's
I don't know if anybody. I understudied James Earl Jones. It went on for him.
yeah.
I mean, my most recent thing was the gin game with Cecily Tyson, which was about 3-4 years ago.
Wow.
And it's tough understudying an icon, but but he wanted me to do it because he knew I'd give him the right backing, and on Golden Pond with Leslie Uggams, I went on for him for 2 weeks because he got sick.
Yeah.
And let me see, what else did I understudy him on Golden Pond? And then we were in You Can't Take It With You together. I understudied him in that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. You've really had a prolific career, not only on Broadway but television, voice, everything, really, huh?
But you know what I'm proud of also? My teaching. I've taught at Tisch School of the Arts. I've directed there. I've directed down at Fisk University. I was the first African American to direct down in Florida, Coconut Grove Playhouse.
Oh, wow.
And guess who I directed?
Who'd you direct?
I mean, here's somebody who was the shyest kid going. I directed Denzel Washington.
Oh, wow.
In a play called. When I went backstage to see him on Broadway, he was telling everybody backstage, this guy directed me 31 years ago, he said, down in Florida.
That's crazy. Wow.
I said, yeah, will you remember me when you shoot your film? Doesn't always work that way. I've never asked for favors. And I went to school with Henry Winkler, the Fonz, up at Yale.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's another story. I'm writing my autobiography. I need to do my own one, man.
Yeah. So you're working on your autobiography then, huh?
I'm working on that, and the Paul Robeson. I want to do that. That's one of my missions. I've done Ralph Bunch already.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah.
I took Frederick Douglass. I followed Frederick's footprints from London all the way up to. He went up to Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Where was he? I saw a plaque in Sweden for Frederick Douglass. Yeah. Anyway, any more questions?
Oh yeah, sure. I got a few. It's great. You've made it so easy for me because usually I start and I have a lot of questions which you naturally answered, which is always the thing that I desire because I aim to speak as little as possible because the goal is not to record me, it's to record you. So you hit on a lot of the things that I ask at first, and now I have a few specific questions for you. I try to hit on, in general, the Bronx, the schools people went to, the kind of makeup of the schools, and all of that, music. So, yeah, sure.
I had an unfortunate thing happen to me at Christopher Columbus.
Okay, yeah, let's hear.
A teacher one of the teachers up there used the N-word in class.
Mm.
And those days, I actually played hooky. I couldn't go to school after that.
I don't blame you.
Thought I was I didn't tell anybody, and she used it in a phrase, a phrase about a wood pile.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was awful, but I heard it. I never said anything. Didn't say anything to my parents. I never wanted to. Growing up, I never made waves. I'll say that. I was a very shy kid.
Sure.
I guess I followed the leader, kind of a thing. I played my basketball like the rest of it. It was interracial. It was sports. Sports were big.
Yeah.
Sports were big. The playground was big. Handball, I played all that. I played with Mo. I played stickball.
Sure.
I played. We played football out on the streets. We played roller hockey on the streets with
Ah, yeah.
cars, and we did all of that. So it was. So for me, it was growing up. It really helped me develop.
Absolutely.
But going to college was what did it for me.
Sure.
I auditioned for the theater, and we went to. This kid from Harlem went to India, and somebody when I met someone,
Wow.
we went all over India.
Wow.
I met Nehru.
Wow.
And his daughter, who became the prime minister. But when I was in India, a lady in Madras told at a place called Kalakshetra, which was a theosophical artistic society. It was our last stop, which was wonderful. She said, "You must meet my relatives in Brussels. I'll give you their number." And the other thing she said, in those days you could. She said, "You must hitchhike." And
Ah, yeah.
when our theater company got to Rome, there was a professor we were sitting in the lobby or something, a whole bunch of us, and this professor from Inter-American University in Puerto Rico, or wherever it was down in the Caribbean, he said, "Hey guys, driving bus, anybody come?" I hitchhiked over Europe.
Wow.
I was the only one that went with them. But when we went to Vienna, in the Alps and everything, I said, "Hey, I got to stop here because opera."
Yeah.
There was the opera. I met Leontine Price there, the opera singer, and I all over. Went to Brussels, good friends, sweet. Met some of Ma Bergman's.
Wow.
So I mean, that's what really nurtured was my parents, of course.
Sure.
Esther and David Sodaler at my day on the railroad, the New Haven Railroad. He worked in a dining car as a steward and waiter, and he wanted to be a pharmacist. Doctor. My daughter has since become that. Here he's a doctor.
Yeah.
My son lives out in Hollywood, working for. And he just married in 2016. He married Helen Kennedy, and they live out on the West Coast. She's an actress.
Okay. Wow.
But anyway, the trip to India really opened my eyes.
I'm sure.
It was an amazing trip, and just meeting people, staying in their homes, devouring culture, going to museums. So after that, I couldn't stay away from Europe. I'd go back after college. When I graduated, I went over on the Queen Mary. Murray Brown is the one who inspired me to go. Murray Brown was a poet. Didn't live in the Coops, but he lived on Olinville Avenue.
Okay.
Murray was a poet. He always doing walks. He'd go down to St. Mark's Place, recite poems, and he was a poet and wonderful poet. And he wrote a piece called Mother and Son about his life in the Coops and growing up. It was mostly a relationship. I think his mother was from Russia. There were a lot of Russian Jewish families there.
Sure.
So I became part Russian. The arias that Ali, her son John, used to sing arias that I heard Mario Lanza sing and everything.
Oh, and you started to spell it, and I interrupted you and didn't mean to. But how do you spell Canali? Just so I have it right.
Yes, Canale.
Okay, great.
And Mrs. Mother Canale lived with Grover. She had moved from somewhere. I don't know where she came, but he let them use the apartments, which were, the apartments in the Coops were special. And Grover used to always cook for us. But Mama Canale had John Canale. He was in construction. There was Helen Canale. Helen Canale, yeah, she was also. And you know Julie? You heard of Julie Poussaint?
No, I haven't.
Julie Poussaint. Now Poussin was a very famous, or is a very famous psychologist, and I think he was very much an advisor to the back in the day, the Cosby Show.
Oh,
But
okay, sure.
Julie Poussin married, from what I understand. He was determined to marry her, and he did. She was, African American, and I think of Haitian descent too. But Julie Poussin, she was very much sought after.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if
Those,
she's still around. You think
I
she?
wonder, but
Huh.
that name Poussaint, I think something like this spelled Poussin,
Yeah, yeah, Poussin.
but it would be Julie Poussin Canali.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
Canali grew up there. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I don't know who else, but Brenda was a good contact. I would imagine she had things to say.
oh yeah, she had a lot to say for sure.
Did she mention Joyce Jones?
She did. She mentioned the Joneses. She mentioned a lot of the people you've mentioned,
Yeah.
but you've mentioned some more as well. Did you know the Burroughs at all?
Rose. That name sounds familiar.
Eric Burroughs was. What's that?
Were they African American?
Yes. Uh,
They might have. Yeah, we lived in the second court.
yeah, they might have lived in the third court, maybe. Um,
Let me see
but
who else.
the father Eric Burroughs was played Hecate in Voodoo Macbeth, the WPA production back in 1936, 1937, whenever that was.
Huh.
And the mother of Eric is the two Burroughs brothers lived in the Coops with their family, and their mother Williana was real big in the Harlem Communist Party in the 1930s. But yeah, so Brenda mentioned the Burroughs. I think Melissa mentioned the Burroughs as well. I think actually they might have the daughters might have been a lot younger than you that they
Yeah.
had. So
Yeah. You spoke to Melissa as well.
I did, yeah.
Oh, nice, nice. Well,
Um,
I'm gonna try to get Janet Lathman to you.
yes,
Because Joyce, because she very much grew up in the Coops and would have a viewpoint.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Well,
I mingle with everyone.
yeah. So
Because that's the way I was taught. I'm a people person, and I sort of came out of it helped me come out of my shy, demeanor or what have you. The theater,
sure.
that for me, but I was pretty laid back, pretty, just observing and being part of, and just being glad to be there.
Yeah.
And I sort of bloomed when I got when I got the highest mark in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, highest mark. That did something for me. I never felt that I was a bad student. I had favorite stuff like literature and I did well in algebra, and it's when you get a good mark in class and then the teacher extols your Charles Turner received the 90 something 98 or something, and then that did something for me, and it was actually Tommy who, speaking, I know I'm jumping around, but
Oh, that's fine.
inspired me to go to college, because when he went off to Mexico City College,
Yeah.
when he got back, because we had roomed together for a while. I don't know if he told you that.
He didn't know.
No, we roomed together in his mother's apartment, and he went off to college, and Mexico City College, and right after that, I said, I want to go away to school. I always wanted to go to a California school, but because when we were young, my parents took us out. My dad being a railroad man, we took the Santa Fe out to L.A. There's some Turners out there.
Oh, okay, sure.
But I wouldn't be a journalist. So Wayne State University out in Detroit, Michigan, was sort of a working person school. It was a college within the city of Detroit.
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up going. They accepted me, and I drove out there, drove through Canada. I had a Cadillac, a used Cadillac. As soon as I got there, they called me Cadillac Charles. I got my degree and started teaching back here. And Mr. Nosovsky, I taught at a high school where they had a lot of problems, a junior high school in Brooklyn. In fact, Oceanville, Brownsville, they had all kinds of problems there. Al Shanker
Sure.
was the superintendent, I think, of schools and things, with strikes and things. But that was after I left. But I taught in Brooklyn, and Mr. Nosovsky, a wonderful man, got me to. He knew I was very interested in theater, and he got me to direct some programs with kids. And I directed a Puerto Rican and African American Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh, wow. That's great.
We didn't get any rights for it, but we did it anyway. That's something to know.
Yeah.
And I directed things about Mr. Rogers. I used a lot of his songs and things. But that's really what activated me, and that was actually after I got back from Yale. I started teaching there.
Okay, sure.
That was before,
And were you still living in the Coops at the time, or you'd already moved out?
We were living, where was he? No, Beth and I, when we got married, I was living near Lincoln Center, actually. I had a little apartment right across the street from Lincoln Center, a little tiny, it was a rooftop apartment almost.
Sure.
And it was very inexpensive, $34 a month.
Oh, wow.
Beth and I got married after I got back. I wanted to go to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, but I went there and auditioned, and they said, well, you're on the waiting list. But when I came back, I had a choice of Yale or the Royal Academy, and I said, well, there's no point in coming back with an English accent, so I went to Yale.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we lived up in Connecticut where my daughter was born, but then we moved back to the Coops. Beth and I moved back to the Coops, and that's where my son was born also. We lived up near Montefiore Hospital. We lived a lot, but we actually lived in the Coops, though.
Sure.
Active in the Coops. And the kids grew up in the Coops, too.
Oh, wow.
With my daughter. I don't know what she remembers of the Coops, but I'll ask her.
Do you remember about the years first that you moved up to the Coops with your parents, and then when you moved back to the Coops with your wife and all? Do you remember about what years those were?
I'm trying to think. Let's see. Well, I went to junior high school. I was enrolled in junior high school up there.
So you must have been, what, 11 or 12 or something?
12 or something like that, yes. It might have been. It was in the 40s.
Sure.
Let me see. It was because World War II was 1941, and we were living in Harlem then.
Okay.
So maybe it was 47 or something. Well, I can figure it out. I graduated from Christopher Columbus in 49.
Okay, sure.
We'll play it back, play that back,
So I guess 6 years
Yeah.
or so before that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's what I thought, because...
It was the early 40s, yeah.
Sure.
Debbie would know. Debbie would know for sure. Debbie, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to encourage her to... I won't give you her number. I'll call you back.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
She's hard to get to. Yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah. So, as long as you still have time,
You can't do this. We may as well. I mean, I've got some things to do around here.
Sure.
Where so I don't know if you want to do this again. I mean, after November 1st, I'm better off with time actually, because I've got a lot of papers and stuff to turn into recertification, so I can keep my little apartment. I got a studio down there.
Oh yeah, I remember you said you were working on that.
You want to talk again, or would that be bad for you? Or?
Oh no, I mean,
Give me a chance now that I've talked to you about Debbie and Janet.
yeah.
Back to you with that too, okay?
Yeah. And I guess so. I guess I'll have some more specific questions about the Coops next time we talk. But
Okay. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, and probably. Oh no, that's fine, Chuck. This is great. I mean, that's what the best kind of oral histories are the ones that are more flow of consciousness because no one wants to just feel like they're being interviewed for a job or something. It's
I like where this is heading. To something, a piece of history, and it's important.
yeah.
Everybody, but let me get my sister. Let me get Janet Laidman, and if I can track down a Canali or two.
That would be great.
But Poussin, I know I won't be able to. She married Canali. She married Tony. No, not Tony, his brother. But she married a Canali.
Okay, Julie Poussin, huh?
Julie Poussin. Yeah, check that out. Canali, Canale, and Helen. They would know if she's still alive. Helen, but Helen, she didn't really live in the Coops. She just hung out.
Sure.
And also Reggie.
Reggie Williams, was it?
Reggie Williams, yes.
Reggie Williams.
Beautiful, red, African American with red hair and green eyes.
Oh wow!
Boy, was he a ladies' man.
Wow,
I might have had a kid. He might have had a kid too.
I wonder if he's still around. I'll have to. It's a fairly common name, so it might be hard to.
Yeah. His father was stately. Yeah. Listen, Steve, I gotta run now.
Oh, sure.
Right? And I promise to get to you in the morning. All right.
Oh well, thank you so much, Chuck.
Okay, I'll ask Deb if she wants to be interviewed. Okay.
Great.
But she's got South Carolina, and if she's time, to do it. Okay.
That sounds great. Thank you so much for your time, Chuck. And I'll touch base with you sometime in November again. Does that work for you?
Maybe middle of November.
Great, and hopefully we'll be.
But I'll get back to you with names before that.
Okay, great. Yeah, you can call here, or you can always call the Bronx County Historical Society, the main line.
I got your number.
Okay, great.
It says Texas though. Is that a Texas?
This is my cell phone number. I'm originally from Texas.
What part?
Right near Louisiana, a mile from Louisiana on the Gulf.
This you don't have to include. This is not when I was in the Coops, but I played cello in Fort Worth, Texas, outdoors.
Oh wow, yeah.
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 That's another story for my autobiography.
You really should write the autobiography because you've lived such a rich life.
Thank you. My daughter says I should do it. Dad, what are you waiting for?
And also even if you don't write your autobiography at any point, as long as you have notes, that's important as well. So.
Okay, you're right. And I really feel like when I teach, I don't talk about myself, with my students.
Sure.
Advance and enrich their work, but I'm a good teacher.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm a good teacher. That's what I've turned out, because I've always taught. Morris Karnofsky. I heard of that name?
Morris Karnofsky.
He was a great actor. From back in the days of the not the studio theater, but what do they call it? The actor studio? No. But anyway, he was great. He was great a Yiddish actor. He played Shylock up at the Shakespeare Festival. They used to have a theater up in Stratford, Connecticut. And he said, Charles, you must always teach. I was backstage. I was just a little. I was just a journeyman.
Sure.
Just studying. I was back in awe. How did I get here? I gotta run, babe.
All right. Well, great talking to you. You take care and stay well and stay safe.
I will. You too. Stay safe. You and all your family.
Thank you. Same to you and yours. All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.